Did the US downplay its troops' combat injuries in the Iran war and the damage that it suffered because of the attacks in West Asia? There are reports that have triggered some very serious questions. Remember, earlier, Pete Hegseth had insisted about the toll of the conflict with Iran in the month of March. And he had said that almost 90% of the 400 injured American service members had sustained only minor injuries and had since returned back to duty. Now, according to a report by CBS News, some of those injured soldiers have told the outlet that the injuries are far more serious than the official designation provided by the military. For example, one portion of the report says, and I quote, the Chief Warrant Officer Rodney Bierman's body was riddled with shrapnel in the early hours of the war on the 1st of March when an Iranian drone slammed into his workstation in Kuwait. Medical records reviewed by CBS News show that he had suffered a concussion, hearing and vision loss, and also damage to his lungs, and the Army classified this condition as not seriously injured. According to the report, speaking to CBS in an interview, his wife Amy Bierman said that the assessment is simply unacceptable. The report also says that Biermans are also among several survivors and their families who told CBS News that they are not being treated by the military as combat casualties for reasons they simply are not able to understand, a claim an Army spokesman has strongly denied. Meanwhile, according to a Wall Street Journal report, the US Navy base in Bahrain was hit by Iranian missiles and drones, causing extensive damage not publicly acknowledged by the Pentagon. The report further states that the US Navy base in Bahrain was repeatedly targeted between late February and June. Strikes that got through caused extensive damage. Now, according to a Wall Street Journal analysis of satellite imagery, social media footage and interviews with current and former service members, damage that the Pentagon hasn't publicly acknowledged, it has been hit hard over the command headquarters and at least about a dozen other buildings, along with 2 satellite communication terminals. The report also says that the extensive damage done to America's sole naval base in the Middle East, along with hits to at least about 20 US sites across the region, including military installations and diplomatic facilities, has the US re-evaluating its entire footprint in the region. Now, according to US officials familiar with the deliberations, all of this coming at a time when America is already facing a new headache, given the developments in Lebanon. Israel has stayed adamant, and both the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Defense Minister Israel Katz have ruled out the Israeli troop withdrawal from Lebanese territory in which the Israelis have now invaded into. Now, Israel and Lebanon wrapped up a 3-day US-mediated negotiation in Washington without any agreement, but all sides have agreed to extend talks for another day. The US State Department said that the negotiations, slated to end on Thursday, will go on for another day, and reports say that the US is in fact aiming to end the signing of a framework agreement, and this will include Israel partially withdrawing from small areas of its large buffer zone in southern Lebanon and being replaced by members of the Lebanese armed forces. As the talks continue in Washington, Israel carried out strikes in southern Lebanon against what it said were Hezbollah's operatives who posed threats to troops. Hezbollah, however, has claimed that the strike killed 3 civilians, and the attack marks the 3rd deadly incident since Tuesday, taking the total number of people who have been killed in the Israeli attacks this week to at least about 7. Meanwhile, the situation at the Strait of Hormuz remains sensitive. Iran has insisted its right to control shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and has warned the Gulf states against siding with the United States. A day after an attack on a ship near Oman highlighted the fragility of a preliminary deal to end the Iran war. The injuries caused by this war economically and geopolitically have been far too grave. For President Trump, his approval ratings have also been a bit of a casualty. As of now, as West Asia remains on edge, the US and Iran are traversing a very delicate path from war through a ceasefire, possibly towards peace. Now, what happens during the crucial process could, of course, have some pretty far-reaching consequences. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.